Jack carefully scraped off the birth date on the check and changed it to his own. Then he pasted his name on it. He took out a model airplane that he'd soaked in water beforehand. He peeled off the airline logo and stuck it on the check. Finally, he pressed the check flat in a book. Just like that, Jack forged a crude but usable airline paycheck. He took it to the bank to cash. For most people, successfully cashing this check would be very difficult, but for Jack, it was as easy as breathing. Because not only did he have a handsome face, he knew exactly who was easiest to fool. After some careful observation, he picked a pretty female teller named Emma, who seemed like she'd fall for charm.
Welcome to Miami Mutual Bank. How may I help you?
My name is Frank Taylor. I'm a co-pilot for Pan Am. I'd like to cash this check here, and then I'd like to take you out for a steak dinner.
Just like that, he successfully cashed the check. After the first success, he couldn't stop. He started buying model planes in bulk and mass-producing fake checks. Then he'd go to the airport to cash them. He specifically targeted attractive rookie employees. Before long, he'd infiltrated the bank's inner circle. From these women, he learned that banks had machines to verify checks. So he bought a decommissioned verification machine at a high price, brought it home, and studied it carefully. Then he created fake checks that even the machine couldn't detect. Disguising himself as a pilot, he started flying for free and illegally cashing checks all across the country. As the amounts grew larger, the FBI finally caught wind of his activities. Agent Carl tracked him down to his hotel using the address on a fake check. He barged into the room with a gun drawn. Seeing the tools of Jack's trade on the table, Carl knew he had him this time. Just then, the sound of a toilet flushing came from the bathroom. Jack calmly walked out, not at all rattled. He smoothly pretended to be with an intelligence agency, claiming he was also after the same criminal.
Relax! You're late, all right? My name's Alan, Barry Allen, United States Secret Service. Your boy just tried to jump out the window. My partner has him in custody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Carl didn't believe him at first, but seeing how composed Jack was and watching him hand over his wallet for inspection, he started to have doubts. Just as Carl was about to open the wallet, Jack stopped him and pulled him over to the window.
Look out the window. My partner's walking him to the car as we speak. Look, old guy almost pissed in his pants when I came through the door. He jumped right through the window onto the hood of my car. Hey, Murph. Yeah, call the LAPD again. I don't want people walking through my crime scene.
I didn't expect the Secret Service on this.
Don't worry about it. Well, what's your name?
Henry. Carl Henry.
To prove his professionalism, Jack turned the tables and asked Carl to show his credentials. Carl handed them over.
Well, tough luck, Carl. 5 minutes earlier, you would have landed yourself a pretty good collar.
It's all right.
He said this as he gathered up the printer and checks and asked Carl to watch the scene. Then he walked out of the room without hesitation. He didn't even take his wallet. At this point, Carl thought to himself that after all this time chasing him, he'd finally caught the master con man. He relaxed, sat on the bed, and even started laughing. But as he laughed, he felt something wasn't right. So he opened the wallet to check. What he saw left him stunned. Inside were nothing but ads for various products, salads, desserts, and the like. He realized he'd been played, but it was too late. Jack was already gone. This was the end of the first round of the cat and mouse game, a complete victory. After this incident, Jack became more confident. He dressed up like James Bond, drove a fancy car, and picked up down-on-their-luck models at hotels. On Christmas Eve, he called Carl to taunt him, claiming he was in room 31 at a hotel and daring Carl to come catch him. Carl had been fooled once already, so he naturally didn't believe him, but he seemed to see right through Jack's psychology.
You didn't call just to apologize, did you?
What do you mean?
You have no one else to call.
Oh.
Carl hit a nerve. Jack felt incredibly lonely, because after he got the money, he went back home once. He thought his parents' divorce was just about money, so he went back hoping to get them back together, wanting to return to that perfect life and find the warmth of home again. But reality had changed beyond recognition. Mom had remarried, and Dad was barred from spending due to unpaid debts. In the end, he discovered that money still couldn't solve his problems. Christmas, which should have been a family reunion, he had to spend alone. Combined with Carl's taunts, he stormed out in anger. The room number happened to be 3113. Clearly, he'd calculated it. At that point, Carl started investigating the name Barry Allen. After much searching, he found that it was the Flash's name. Carl suddenly realized that the con artist he was chasing was probably just a kid who loved comic books. Following this lead, he investigated all the runaway teenagers in New York and eventually narrowed it down to Jack. But Carl never could have imagined that this genius scammer was only 17 years old. The agent told Jack's mother that he was suspected of forging checks. His protective mother immediately decided to pay back all the money for him, but she underestimated Jack's abilities.
Just tell me how much yours and I'll pay you back.
So far, it's about $1.3 million.
Jack realized his whereabouts had likely been exposed. So he forged a Harvard degree and successfully landed a job as an attending physician and hooked up with a nurse. When he learned his girlfriend's father was a well-known local attorney, he proposed marriage and successfully married into the family. By mimicking lawyers in movies and using his incredible memory, he passed the bar exam in just 2 weeks and became a lawyer. Christmas Eve came around again. As usual, Jack called Carl. This time, he hoped Carl would let him go because he was about to get married. But Carl used this as a breakthrough and quickly tracked down his location. On his wedding day, Carl showed up uninvited. To avoid tipping Jack off, Carl first found his girlfriend's father to ask questions, planning to find out where Jack was before making the arrest. But he was still spotted. Jack quickly pulled his girlfriend into a room and urgently told her everything. As he spoke, he pulled out a suitcase full of money. Before his girlfriend could even figure out what was going on, he pulled out another suitcase. He knew he couldn't take her with him and didn't have time to explain. So he grabbed the money and escaped alone through the window. But before leaving, he made plans to meet his girlfriend at the airport in 2 days and run away together. Soon, 2 days passed. Jack arrived at the airport. After some time, his girlfriend showed up as promised. But just as he was about to meet her, he noticed she seemed nervous. Strangers were approaching her. What was going on? Had his girlfriend sold him out? He quickly got back in his car and started carefully observing his surroundings. Sure enough, he spotted numerous disguised police officers. If he showed his face, he'd be arrested. Leaving seemed impossible, but for him, this wasn't. He once again pretended to be a pilot and went to an all-girls school, claiming he was recruiting 8 flight attendants for the company. At that time, being a flight attendant was just as popular as being a pilot. So when they heard this news, everyone was excited and eager to attend the interview. After a selection process, he successfully picked out 8 female students to be flight attendants. They all had angelic faces and perfect figures. Since he couldn't keep a low profile, he decided to make a grand entrance. He walked into the airport with these 8 girls, swaggering confidently. As it turned out, this strategy was successful. When these 8 youthful, beautiful, and alluring girls walked into the airport, everyone's attention, including the police officers, was drawn to them. No one noticed, or perhaps no one thought, that the pilot walking behind them was their target. He, Jack. As for Agent Carl, he used the classic distraction strategy.
Step out of the car!
Don't shoot me. I'm just a driver. A man paid me $100 to wear this uniform, pick someone up at the airport.
Who you picking up?
After saying this, the driver took out a sign with Carl's name on it. Carl had been fooled once again. Meanwhile, Jack had successfully boarded the plane and was taking off.